What is your reaction or facial expression when you know you made some heat? Hey everyone, welcome to the Sonically podcast where music creators educate music creators. I'm Elmo. In today's episode, we're joined by PsychoYP, one of the most exciting voices in Afro-fusion and hip-hop. He has a brand new single out now called Different Pattern and has a lot more music on the way. In today's conversation, we'll talk about his come up, the evolution of Nigerian hip-hop, his creative process, and what's next for him in this ever-changing industry. So without further ado, let's welcome PsychoYP to the show.
Well gone, what's good?
If we could we rewind back to the beginning? Did you grow up with music in your life?
Yeah, 100%. My mom always had records playing, as a kid, so I grew up around a lot of music, like a whole lot of different sounds, not just African sounds, like international music as well, so yeah.
In the area where you lived, what type of sonics were you surrounded with then?
I grew up in Nigeria and in England, so for the most part of it, I was around a lot of Afro music, Afrobeat, and a lot of, I wouldn't say UK drill, because it wasn't really drill back then, but a whole lot of UK music, yeah.
What were some of the names that caught hold of you as an influence to what you do today?
I was always tapped into international music, so I grew up listening to a lot of Young Money, a lot of Lil Wayne, Drake, Tiger, well, there's some people. And for the UK scene, I'd say a lot of Skepta, Chip, and a few other people, yeah.
So with those influences, growing up, at what point did you discover the process of creating music? Like, you can do this too. You can be like the guys that you really look up to growing up.
I think I was probably like, 14, 15, and it was just, I just felt like doing it, so I just found like a studio and started working on my stuff, But I started at home first, actually, before I found the studio, but yeah.
You remember some of the first bars that got it going?
Not really. Not really, but yeah, good moments.
Some of the things that you mentioned in other interviews that I saw is that your music is very authentic to your life experiences. Can you go into that a little bit?
I think one of my most recent releases should be a record with Apex Village, my collective, called Extracurricular Activities. And it's just a record talking about extracurricular activities. I had been in Lagos for a couple months, maybe a couple weeks prior to recording that song. So I feel like a whole lot of stuff I was doing out there is just in the record. So yeah.
Yeah, like what kind of stuff?
Well, a lot of stuff, but I didn't really say it in the record, but like it's just the feeling of like what I was going through. So yeah.
Your YPSZN series has become a major part of your legacy thus far. How do you feel your music and mindset have evolved to where you are now?
I feel like at the point where I dropped YP Season 1, I was still kind of like experimenting, on the sound. And now I feel like it's a more polished version of what I was trying to do. So yeah, I feel like it's just gradual steps. Still trying to perfect the sound and whatnot, but this is a more polished version of whatever it was back then. But that is still a very solid project. Should be in the Hall of Fame or something. So yeah.
Any new evolutions in the way that you write?
Not really. I started just writing recently. Normally I just record off the top. So I found it I was just used to it. I got too used to it, so I kind of tried to get myself out of that comfort zone, and I started writing a bit more. But it's still the same old process for me.
Typically you didn't write anything down. You just went into the booth and it was all top of
Yeah,
top
because
of the dome.
I'd be engineering myself, like my songs myself. So essentially I'm just like on the system already, and like I have the mic and everything set up. So yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, like, what is that process like? So how do you get into that zone where you hear the beat, you hear the music in your headphones, and you know that what you're doing is right. Like what you're doing is the thing that you know you that feels good to you.
I feel like that's just the job of being an artist, you know? Like when you hear something and you just like instantly just tapped in. I feel like that's the job, you know?
The song Euphoria captures a shift in your life. Was there a specific moment when you realized you had entered that euphoric stage in your career?
Okay, I think that was during COVID, when COVID just started and I was in England, so we couldn't really go anywhere, couldn't really do anything. And it was just like a very depressing time, I guess. But I just tried to make the most of it from the music, so yeah, I put a whole lot of time into creating that project and that song.
Like during COVID, how was that creatively for you?
It just made me like have more time to record, you know, because I was always inside, so I was just always recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was literally like sending back features in like 20 minutes, 30
Wow.
minutes. Crazy times, man.
How many songs did you make at that during that time?
That year I had over 40 something features out that year alone. So that was quite crazy for me.
Yeah. Any of the songs you made during that time ending up on future projects today, or are they all kind of like
Yeah,
either in the
100%.
vault or?
No, 100%. I had a project I put out the end of last year, which was one of the songs I recorded during COVID, and you know, like it still got like reception like it was a new song I recorded. So that kind of felt good. You know, the old sound could still be passed on as something fresh. So yeah,
You recently dropped your new single, Different Pattern.
yeah.
What was the creative process making this song?
Different pattern. I think that particular one I was with the producer, my bro. So he was just making the beat, and I think I just kind of told him, "Yo, I think I like that one." And he just kept playing it back, and I actually took time to write that one down. I didn't really just go in the booth and just say it, but I actually wrote that full record, and I tried my best to make sure I actually wrote it down, just you know, to make it make a bit more sense to me.
You've been very instrumental in pushing Nigerian hip hop to new heights.
Uh-huh.
Do you embrace that role as an ambassador from Nigeria?
In a way, by default, yeah, but like I'm not really like trying to, you know, like be pushing agendas or whatnot. But by default, I am certainly that guy. But yeah,
How do you want it to be represented to the world?
the way it is, you know, just raw energy, talent, but you know they make it hard to want the best for for the country. But you know, you just have to keep putting in work. And if you put in so much work, you might just not have that in your mind, you know, because you're just putting in work just to make sure it's valid, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
How is it perceived back home?
it's lit. Like some people like are rocking with it, but you have to keep in mind this is a Afrobeat community generally, so it's kind of tough passing on certain messages. But that's why you just have to keep on working, you know.
As you know, we are a platform that has a mandate to educate the next generation of music creators. I think there's a lot of people anywhere in the world that aspire to be like to take to make the steps that you made and make the moves that you made to do what you're doing today. And I can't imagine it's been super easy. But if you could give those people some advice, the youngins some advice that could help them along in their journey, what would that advice be?
Um, I just say keep working, you know. Just don't stop working. More hours every week. Yeah.
Rapid fire round number one. What DAW do you use and why?
I use Logic Pro because it's kind of easy to use, I guess. Yeah.
Right on. Favorite plugins?
Waves.
What is a sound that always brings you joy?
A violin.
What is your reaction or facial expression when you know you made some heat? When do you feel 100% happy with a song you made?
When I've played it like 400 times in like a week, in like a couple days, like 2 days. And I know, yeah, that's the one.
What's the hardest bar you've ever spit?
Man, I do not know. I have so many songs out that is a very difficult question.
You don't have like one that you're just like really proud of where you're just like, man, that was it.
I'm proud of everything I say because like it's difficult. That's a very difficult question. You can't really ask an artist one bar because a typical song, the artist has maybe two verses, 32 bars, and like 22 of those bars have to be crazy. So yeah.
What do you understand now about the music business that you didn't understand when you first started?
It's much tougher than it looks.
If AI technology was somehow able to take over our jobs as music creators, what new career path would you choose?
I don't know. I go do stocks or some shit. I'll go trading forex. Don't kill me.
Whatever makes money.
Yeah, 100%.
PsychoYP, just thank you for joining us today, and thank
I
you for
appreciate you
being
for
on the show.
having me.
This is actually the first time I've done this in person. I usually do it on the internet.
Crazy.
So it's kind of crazy. So
That's lit. That's lit.
It's a
That's
little
lit.
bit different. So, anyways, what's next for PsychoYP? Anything you want to promote to the Sonically community?
A whole lot of new music. I just put out different patterns, so I need everyone to go stream different pattern by PsychoYP. Out now everywhere. Wow.
Dope.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you, man.